of having the school district actually assume a signatory on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, no one's asked them that question. I have not.
Mm-hmm.
And I would
I'm
best to
sorry,
say
someone's
that,
making a lot of noise with, maybe they don't have their phone on mute or something. Sounds like. All right, that was me.
All right, can we go back to what none of us heard what the question was?
Yeah. So my question was, if we were to move the contract over to the school district, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, so my question was, if we were to vote no on signing this contract today and transferring it over to the school district, would they have sufficient time to sign the contract and have crossing guards before the start of school? And so Rebecca was answering my question.
well, I wasn't answering the question, only because I don't know.
Right.
Because I was just relaying the fact that the last time that we had this discussion, there wasn't a mention of the school district actually taking over signatory on the contract. It just, I mean, that's kind of a new dynamic of the discussion this evening. So,
Well, they didn't return the phone call. I don't think it's a new dynamic. To be fair, Trustee Menta did bring up that dynamic, and the chief called to talk about taking on responsibility for liability, which could be a signator on a contract, or it could be providing some sort of liability insurance, and they have not returned the call. So I don't, at least that's what I heard from the presentation.
well, at the time I thought it was in the scope of having someone listed, and perhaps I'm misunderstanding how this conversation happened, but my understanding leaving the meeting was that it was about a matter of documenting insurance, but not necessarily giving somebody a contract. Which is, if that's the decision that you guys as a board want to move with, that's fine. But there's no way for me to know that aside from calling someone at the school district right now.
If we, for my concern, and it somewhat mirrors Trustee Menta, but it also has a little bit of a difference. My big concern is we haven't had any contact with them about who we are going to select. And if this is a contractor that they've had a lot of complaints about, I don't want to sign a 3-year contract and then have to wait until someone gets hit by a car in order to get out of it because of cause. So my hesitation is more, I agree 100%. I think we're too late in the process, unfortunately, but what are we doing here? I don't, if we want to talk about funding it, that's fine, but we really should not be in the business of contracting for a service unless it's a joint RFP review board. I don't feel comfortable that the school had the people that are receiving the service and know the children and the safety beyond, and we don't, even the police officer here, and I thank you for coming, but we don't have a list of complaints that we've received. This is our current service provider, so I just feel moving forward maybe at this moment, and I'm going to ask 2 questions, is there a way to modify this for a 1-year contract and to get and not approve it without a 3rd signature, or the school saying, we feel comfortable in writing in a letter to us, or something on the record that the school as the service recipient is comfortable with our selection before we sign a 3-year contract. So any way to modify that, I'm up for, because I don't want to have
do we have a motion, or did Mike make a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I offer an amendment to enter into the contract for 1 year only?
You can. Would you consider also saying and having a letter, sent to us by the school board that they're comfortable, or something on record saying that they are okay? If something bad happens, I don't want it to turn around and be the village of Shorewood, because we did not ask that question.
I mean, it just seems like we have a variety of issues that we would like to have some collaboration with the school board about, and we have not been able to achieve that in the past couple weeks. And I mean, I'm okay with approving it for a year, but I would like to enter into further discussion about, the insurance issues and just the overall service delivery issues, and yeah, she's more general issues than just that, so,
I would accept that friendly amendment.
okay. So,
It needs a
okay,
second.
so I guess,
And I would second it.
okay.
Just a second.
Trustee Carpenter.
So I mean, I have walked to school and walked home from school every day, and I would say that there's definitely some concerns with the service, and so I do feel like and it was my understanding at the last meeting that there would be at least some partnership to understand what does the school board think? I mean, they are really the customer, and so I think that that's the piece for me that's really missing, is that, that there hasn't been any communication.
Trustee
or just-
McCullough-McCaig, I'm sorry, I lost the call now, back.
that there just really hasn't been any communication, and, if we're spending this money and I think it's really an important service, it needs to be executed well, and, you're not the only person who's heard that feedback, and I'm sure that the school district has heard the same feedback, so I think really having that communication, and if we can, amend the contract for 1 year so we can make this a better process for next year, that's something I would feel comfortable with.
Trustee Warren.
I agree as well. I like the 1 year compromise. The other thing that I wanted to bring back into the fold is, do we want some sort of letter or affirmation from the school board that this is in fact the provider they want to go with? I think that might be the last piece of the puzzle here, because we do want some collaboration here, because again, they are the customer. So I do like that. I do like that as a piece of it as well.
Just a point of clarification, because Chief Nimmer has been in communication with the superintendent from the school. And
About our selection of who was recommended to be selected.
my understanding is that, yes, they have been apprised of the results coming back from the RFP and the process that he has been going through. So I'm curious to learn more about what these complaints have been. But
You want to hear now?
I can,
no, I'm not asking
Sure.
for it, but I think that, so I guess the question why I'm explaining it this way is, do you want a letter from the school board or do you want a letter from the superintendent?
I'm fine with either.
Okay, I just want to, so that we're clear, okay,
some district representation.
Somebody from the school.
okay.
So procedural wise, Trustee Amenta, would you consider withdrawing and resubmitting an amendment to add that line of just contingent upon receiving a letter that the school, a letter from the school, I don't know what the right word is, supporting the,
Endorsing the selection of the specific contractor?
Well, can't we just say we'll do it for 1 year and, we'll get into further discussions about all of our concerns at some point before we renew it for another term?
well, Trustee Warren and I have both expressed, and that's why I'm asking if you consider it, you don't have to, but that a letter in the file would be good.
A letter from the superintendent about complaints?
About being okay with the selection of the contract, of the
Oh, okay.
provider.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Are you okay, Trustee?
Sarah could read that, could she just read the motion and then maybe you can just add that?
The amended motion, the amendment.
The amendment was to enter into the contract for 1 year only. And then the original motion,
And request the superintendent to provide a letter verifying,
Contingent upon.
affirming the contractor selection.
Contingent upon receiving a letter from the superintendent confirming the selection, the provider selection.
Do you want superintendent or district representative?
District representative, that's fine with me. We'll read it back, hold on.
hold on. Did you say superintendent?
District representative.
And Trustee Amenta, I agree that we need further conversation for next year.
Okay. The amendment is to enter into the contract for 1 year only and contingent upon the district representative confirming the contractor selection
By letter,
by letter.
or by writing, something. In writing. Do you need us to repeat is there a second for that? Who was the second, trustee McKay?
Okay.
McKay?
Yes, there is I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so now we are going to, is there any further discussion at the moment? Okay, seeing none, we have an amendment to the motion. The clerk,
On that first.
which we will vote on first. The clerk will read it and then we will do roll call or?
And then we'll do the motion
Okay,
as
good.
amended. So we're voting on the amendment to enter into the contract for 1 year only, contingent upon the district representative confirming the contractor selection in writing.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
1 nay?
Did anybody oppose? Okay,
No?
Okay.
so the motion the amendment carries 7-0, and now we will vote on the amended motion. Do we have to read it again?
You want me to?
Go ahead.
All right, trustee Macher moves, seconded by trustee McKay, to allow the village manager to enter into contract with the Wisconsin Personal Protection Services for the hourly rate of $19.93 an hour with the options A or B outlined by the village attorney upon final review of the village attorney, to enter into the contract for 1 year contingent upon the district representative confirming the contractor selection in writing.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
No. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Oh, Attorney Bear.
Just for clarification's sake, I don't anticipate any problem whatsoever, but because one party can't unilaterally amend the contract, if we go back to the provider and they say, well, we were anticipating 3 years worth of having a contract with the village, which changes our cost structure and this, that, and the other thing, they wouldn't necessarily have to agree to 1 year. But again, based upon my discussions with the chief, I don't anticipate that to be a problem, but just in case something unusual would happen, I don't want there to be, why didn't the village attorney tell us that that was a possibility?
In that instance, we would vote for one of the other providers.
Well, they would come back and they may have a counter proposal.
Okay, any questions for Attorney Bear? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is to consider monument entrance signs. Rebecca.
In 2016, the village had discussed the replacement of 3 monument signs, 2 on Lake Drive, 1 on Wilson. I've been informed that that item was tabled to review the village's tagline. And my microphone does not work.
Oh, okay, never mind.
That's why I'm almost yelling.
I'm like, what?
No. The discussion was tabled to review the village's tagline and also so that the signs could be installed upon the conclusion of the Wilson Drive construction. The Marketing and Communication Committee is not in a position, based upon their priorities, to conduct further review of the village's tagline. We're at a point in the year where we either need to place the order for the signs to get them installed this fall or place the order later this year and install them in the spring. So this is coming to you for tonight to a requested motion. We've received some updated cost. There's been one vendor who has been recommended based upon our experience with them installing signage for Hubbard Park and an additional monument sign that is already here in the village. So there's a recommendation to continue with that. We have budgeted funds for it. If there is concern regarding the village's tagline, we don't necessarily need to place the tagline on the sign. You could simply stick with the Shorewood logo, which is essentially the tree. And tonight, the recommended motion, should you desire to move forward, would be to move to authorize staff to purchase the 3 entrance signs and install an installation from J. Ewan's Design.
I would make a motion to authorize staff to purchase 3 entrance signs and installation from J.F. Ewing's Design in the amount of $13,307.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one quick question. You said that, so we're not looking at the tagline at all this year. Will we be looking at it next year? I'm just saying, my concern is that we change the tag, we buy the signs and 6 months later